Atha Yoga Sasana. And now yoga, or the dissertation. Yeah. Is it just me, or does everyone else have like an internal orchestra that they listen to? I'm pretty sure I can't be the only person that happens with. You know, when I was a baby, my mother used to take her headphones and put classical music playing up to her belly so I could hear it. And there I was in the world of flashing lights, hearing music of the spheres. Yeah. I remember that. I believe that's probably where that comes from. It's strange how you remember little things over time as you get deeper within yourself. The tales that they tell you pop back up. It's like, oh, yeah, I do remember that. I had a thought when I was a kid that I forgot. And then I forgot the thought, so I forgot to think about it. But recently, the thought came, and I remembered. And that's why I feel comfortable doing these types of things. So yeah, that orchestra is what saved me. Essentially, part of it. It gives you something to do. When you sit down and meditate and you go inside yourself, once you get into the astral realm, I guess you could say, when I was a kid, I was walking around inside of deserts or a frozen tundra. The earth would be scorched. All these different areas. Captain Planet showed me the world pollution, so I also seen the apocalyptic world and walked around there. And every time I was a full-grown me, couldn't see myself, but I was covered up with the robe thingy and had the hood on, and I was just walking. And the music would come in and play. I'm sure that inside some of my meditations, if you all read them as my friends, you'll see that I will talk about a desert area, and then I go to a tree, and I warp, and I go to the temple. Well, that's because I walked around that whole place, started mapping out these different landscapes within my mind. And then eventually I started getting to the landscapes of beauty and splendor. But the one thing that I was focused on was the question, where is God that's within me? Where is this? What? So I kept on walking and walking and walking. And I'd be outside in the street, up and down the street, because I couldn't go nowhere else, you know. I was still too young to my parents. Walking and walking. What was the beast that I had become? It was like a bird in the face, but a dragon as well. But then its body was kind of like a werewolf, but then it had bones that were all over it. Once it started, the first time it was just a basic skeletal outline, like plates and stuff. And you could see more of the flesh. The next time it started to be more covered up and had like it's meat underneath it, but it's all bone on top that like condenses. And I was still walking around. Like whenever I would come across something that would try to attack me, I would turn into that and fight it. And then I'd go back to normal, still walking around. I realized I was in my soul forge, what I would eventually grow to be. It's connected to, everyone has their own inner animal spirit type thing, well, Native American beliefs. And you kind of, you know what you identify with the various animals. It was like the wolf, something that's alone by itself, wandering. Over time, it started to look and resemble more like armor. But it wasn't my armor. Whenever it actually became a man thing, it wasn't mine. I didn't have it anymore. By that time, I had walked through the wasteland long enough, and I came upon a place that the sun was like burning over here, but it was like a dim burn kind of thing. And then like you could still see like two moons hanging up. And it was kind of like all these things happened in the landscape, and the world was scorched, obsidian with lava going through, but over here it had ice flowing down. And I was like, what is this? And then there was a cathedral off into the distance. And I'm like, what is that? I haven't come across any structures in here. They're wandering around all these places. I've seen some ruins, but not anything that was actual structure. What is that? And so I went into it. And that's where I entered into the temple of myself. That's where I started to learn more things about my past. They talk about star seeds. It's a movement out there. People who believe that they're from other planets and that their soul has come here to help out humanity inside of a time of need. Well, I've told you all, I have memories of my wife, my partner, and the mission, stuff like that. Well, this is where I went, and I ended up learning more about myself. People are like, well, how do you know all these things? I was taught them by myself in my meditations. How do you know yourself? How do you know you do these things? I was taught it by myself in my in my world, in my inner sanctuary, the Insanity's Asylum, as I called it when I was being an edgelord. I learned these things. Go within yourself. The answers you seek are within yourself. All the texts tell you that. Go within yourself. But to get to what you want to know, you have to first face yourself. The demons that are living within you. If you don't, you won't be able to figure it out. You have to find yourself. You have to go within yourself. Most people are constantly running. You must do the shadow work and walk through the shadow plane, where thoughts and impressions become full-blown things. It's important to learn to master your mind. So I started mastering my body too. I'd started training at this time, working out all the time. I realized strong body makes strong mind. You know, breaking through physical limitations helps to strengthen your mind, because the body and the mind and the breath are all really interconnected with each other. So as I was building myself, of course, everyone thought I was crazy. It was around this time, though, I started finding other people that were like me. And, you know, we were talking about our experiences, like friends do. You think that like little kids are having conversations, don't mean nothing. These people are talking about the inner things that are happening with them if you open your ears and remember. They could be using different things like, yeah, it was like a train, it was like this, and blah, blah. They're not fully making thoughts, but they're telling you something from their inner world. They're trying to get it out. They're trying to communicate with you. So, you know, like 6th grade, 7th grade, pretty cool. All the bad stuff had happened. I'd moved to a new area. And I was now focusing on this thing that was going on while I slept. And that meditation thing of wanting to die, being done with it, being done with here when I was 10, and just go in my closet, tell myself that's it, I'm out of here. Feeling the body shutting down, feeling the pulsations rolling through. Then the spiritual eye appeared, the black sun, and all the stuff started happening, which opened up a whole nother world. I ended up going within and didn't know I was going within. So In the dark world, I started to be like, yeah, all these negative things of I was fat, I was ugly, I was all these various things, negative impressions that were put on me. I bought into those. I wholeheartedly believed it. I thought that was the absolute truth. I was fat, I was ugly, no one's gonna ever love me. Like, I shouldn't have existed. So I ran into the closet and went, closed the door, and I ended up finding the mother aspect. The mother is the moon. She's the light of the night. When you are inside the darkness, the mother is always there. Pretty simple. As I came out, more and more, as I was going in there more and more and coming out more and more, I started noticing I could like reinforce my body with energy, and there's other little tricks that I was learning. I felt like I had power. That, yes, being a witch gave me power. Witch. Now I could do things. Because remember, I had seen what the dark cults do, and that did affect me deeply. I won't fight for myself, but I will fight for others. And I was training. You know, they say put on the armor of God. Hell, what would the armor of God look like? Have you ever seen the depiction of an angel drawn up? They show up saying, "Fear not." They look terrifying, apparently, because they have to say "fear not" whenever they walk up. I've seen some pictures, like, you know, the wheels, the dudes, Ezekiel, sitting there talking about, like, they had 4 faces on the side, and the men were like this. And have you really read that? Seen what they talk about these beings look like that are supposed to be angels? Trans-dimensional? Like, in the Bible, it talks about trans-dimensional beings appearing, moving forward this way. When they move the wing, they move forward like that, or they move back, and they were just like everywhere. And this like great display of what they are as they were walking. And Ezekiel sitting there like, what the fuck is this? Like, I'd be geeking what is happening? Oh no, what is that? Like, and then he's like, so this is what I saw. They did this. And they read about it. And you're like, man, I can't comprehend all these words that they have to go with and do with and that, and man, I'm not comprehending this, but it sounds like some terrifying, what the is going on? Come on. Fear thee not. They walk with the Lord, and they look terrifying. Originally, when I was a kid, I thought of the knight's armor of the king and stuff like that. Whenever I came across the armor, though, I thought it was a demon. When I was inside myself, I used to fight it, and I didn't realize there was somebody inside of it, just because of the way it acted, and it's like it would screech, and the 10,000 voices would come out, like the world would rumble, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And then it would attack, and just so naturally, I became afraid of my soul forge at one point, because either it'd show up as like the beast form, or it'd show up as a man in armor. And I'm like, what? I didn't realize it was my fighting instinct. This comes along later. But yeah, I used to call that dude the Demon King. Clad in white with black tribal all over himself. Sounds like my war paint. Yeah. That's seeing the connections. It goes to dreams, it goes to all types of things. It links in all throughout. It's a completed thing. It's a living reality for me. So I was inside there after the terrible event of 2001 on September 11th, the first of many terrible events that the world will see inside the coming years. I hated Since I was getting power, the power was starting to corrupt me, as it will. I always did keep my light though, to make sure I didn't want to do any harm to women because of all the things that I've seen, and I didn't want to do this or do that. Yeah, like I never felt the urge to have to take advantage of someone. Like it almost, yeah. It was like one time I was like, oh, the thought crossed my mind. I'm like, but why would you even do that? That's what those like weird people do that don't honor other beings. Don't go and like violate a person's personal space. No point in said doing that. You know? There was all types of things that come up. And that armor was like the embodiment of all the things that are dark and negative. But the light that was within it, I did not know there was. Well, the armor, the dude that was inside of it, his sclera would be black, and it'd just be like white circles glowing like the moon. So I'm like, like leak like black fire off of it. I just thought that was like aura. I didn't know like that actually had a meaning behind it. Especially with the way it looked. But yeah, for me that was a pinnacle. I mean, I create evil, I make peace. Isaiah 45:7. What is the armor of God? If you're going to go fight this horrible demon entity or the shadow creatures, what does that armor look like for you? Because there are things that exist. I became a beast at first. I worked my way into being a man form of intelligence in that area. And inside of the temple, I swear I put in the most work, reflecting over many things. The attack, my violence came. I was already fighting when I was a kid, so it wasn't that hard for me to start thinking of how to quickly dispatch a person. You know, that's what you train for when you're a kid. That's what warriors do. Warriors are born in every age. I ended up going into the Marine Corps. They're like, Slaughter, some people are made Marines. One of my staff sergeants said this. You were born a Marine. I'm like, I staff sergeant. What do you say to that? That's retarded. But really, inside truth, I'm like, well, yeah, duh. I thought all warriors were training before they were ready to be warriors. You don't just go out and be ready to go to some front lines or join a military organization and not like have like a warrior's heart inside of the thing. The Kshatriya class, the ones who become kings inside of the Brahmin things. So that was my time as a Kshatriya. And I was training. There's a dude that would show up in a white coat, mocha skin colored, had long hair hanging down his face. He's like 7'8", and I would challenge him, and I'd go up and fight and take out a sword, and he'd like smack me, reappear behind me, and be like, "You're still too weak," and plunge a sword into my chest, and then like throw me off. Or I'd be sitting there meditating, and all the people that I cared about were holding on to me, and there's this big dark chasm. I'd be inside the cafeteria at school, and he would show up. The world would rumble and split and open up, and all my friends and people that I saw that are important, my mom was there somehow. Everyone was there. I was holding on to them by my hand, and I was at the top, and my hand was falling on their weight of all these people, and they fell into the abyss, and I was like, no, I've lost everything again. And like rage would take over, and my body would respond and blossom off energy, and it'd be like, and then I go and fight him, and he's like, you're still too weak. You don't understand these things. The reason why he would take me at night and show me all the horrible things was so that I could know what was going on inside the world. The women being beat, people starving, these people that they think they're kings because they have all the money. They're really just selfish little people, merchants of dirty, dark hearts and deceitful things. The king, everyone says they want to be a king. And if you are to become a king, you must act like a king and understand what regal people do, how they see things. You look out across the world, you see every person in their house or inside your kingdom. You see the beggar on the street and his conditions. And yes, he may not be able to do more, but there should be a way at least in place for the basic necessities of life to be covered for people. You see the people inside their houses doing work. You would want to make sure that they're not being taken advantage of by the greedy hearts of others. Because greed runs rampant and runs deep within us. You see merchants doing trade. You want to make sure that that's fair and that the product that's being given is good. Shouldn't be like you being involved in it, but it should be a natural byproduct of the king as the king, like the spiritual lessons that he is imparting onto his people, the leadership he is showing them, what he inspires them to be like. That's what the king is. That's what you have your presidents and your world rulers. They're what we should aspire to be like. Not sure about now. Very out, halfway, 50-50, you know. Over and over, I fought that guy. Over and over, I lost. And I started complaining like a little kid. If you ever read the psalm, I'm like, why is this happening? They're like, oh God, stop acting so human. You're not human. You're a spirit person. Stop. Nah. I had to complain about everything. I complained about everything on the inside. Thought I was going crazy, you know. They were telling me science and stuff, like how one day we'll discover that we can use vibration, sound, to cancel out a disease's sound, and it would destroy itself. I didn't know that one day I'd come across Wilhelm Reich's work, and how the machine would use resonant frequencies to destroy stuff. Why isn't this technology being utilized everywhere? Like, the government came in, they said that he was doing bad, and they took it away from him. Like, wow, you know? Can't believe these guys. They suppress everything that helps us. Different ancient technologies that we were supposed to find. But they were telling me about this stuff. How the sun functions, how black holes function as singularity. Singularity leads everywhere. One is all thing. We're technically singularity, consciousness. We come from the womb, which is the darkness, which was the singularity. We come out into the world. And it's like how we make a connection to the spirit world and we come in. And like I was learning all these things. And I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah. So when people ask me, like, why do you know all this stuff? How do you know that you know what you know is real? Because after I got done with the lessons, I was very against reading anyone else's scriptures at a certain point. I didn't even read, I don't really read the witch stuff. I was just like, I'm a witch. I can use energy. Witch. So it's kind of doing like my own OFP thing. But I was still in service to the mother aspect. It wasn't the father anymore. It was the mother. And I was out there to protect women. My name's Alex, the protector of mankind. What do you think protectors do? Then, you know, my last name isn't actually Gray. It's more violent. I'll say that. So, violently protect mankind? Okay, I got you. I'm a warrior. Kshatriya. Learning how to be the king, how to look off over everyone, how to take care of it, the spiritual principles. There's certain things that need to be instilled in you. And I guess I'll go over those some point in time. But yeah. You go into yourself. You have to learn to build your temple. It's extremely important. We have to be careful also what we feed ourselves. That media that came out, it bred violence within me, hatred and anger. I'd already been watching fighting stuff growing up. Then you start having video games coming out and people are killing people left and right, no problem. All these things, blood spraying everywhere, making it more realistic. What are you feeding yourself? Why are you feeding yourself that? What are your true intentions? Would you get up and go out and do that in the real world? You say no because it's a fantasy world. But how are you building your inner character? What lessons are you taking from the games? It's not about the bloodshed. It's about the lessons within the games. Because blood happens. I'm also a death priest. I'll get into that into a different thing, but we become so removed from death that we don't understand it anymore. Whenever we used to be around it all the time, and now like we're trying to separate it and tuck it away like it's an uncomfortable thing. So definitely we're gonna have a death talk here real soon. But yeah, no. These things were the things I experienced inside myself. How I built myself. The mind must be built. You must organize out the different areas. You must also make rooms where you can go for different experiences. As you learn about a person, put on the person's thing. The more you learn about them, the more you're able to see their life and to connect with them. And we all want connection, but we're afraid of being our true selves and saying how we really feel, and therefore we don't make connections. We say we want something, we're like, Lord, we want this, and then we're like, but I don't deserve it, because we have all these other thoughts. The law of attraction. There is positive, like energy scales. There's potential energy, kinetic, that goes to kinetic energy. There's positive and there's negative. You think negative thoughts, that negative gauge is going to build up, and then eventually it's going to tap. Now you're having negative actions everywhere, and you notice people go through a whole downward spiral where they destroy themselves only for them to need to come back up and be reborn. Now you're at this low state, you have nothing left, you're back at the ground square zero. Now if you use positive thoughts and reinforcement, you build that positivity up inside yourself, and as you build that up, you hit that, you tap. Now you're starting to see blessings coming to you all the time because you're constantly in this positive state. You stay in a flow state, you're constantly going, you know. The law of attraction, what you think, what you will, law of cause and effect, law of vibration, the law of mind, all is mind. All these hermetic principles are foundational things that you must come to understand within yourself so you can see them without yourself. Okay? And then this hell starts to not be hell as much anymore as it becomes a learning experience that the soul must undergo in order for it to grow into its fulfillment. There are things to do inside of here and things to do inside of there, in life and in death. And whenever you're done there, doing your lively tasks, there's constantly new souls being created. You step up to a new echelon and you have more work to do on this level, okay? You're a soul that is growing back into who you are or what you're going to be, your full fulfillment. And you're just walking through the path right now to get back to your full self. It's important that that's understood so that people are kinder when people are on their path. They don't judge. That's another way we need to get over judgment. You don't have the right to judge anyone, nor do you know what type of path that they're on. You can listen and give assertion. You give them things. Until you make it back to the Creator and you are joined with the Creator, you have not the right to judge because you haven't become one with the Son. I and my Father are one, as was preached. These were teachings to do, not things to worship Him for. We were given lessons to learn. Okay? I guess the next time when we go in, when I come back, we'll talk more about the death thing, about the inner warrior, that the massacre. You see the thing, but I started having dream memories of that armor on a battlefield. Now, as I was going through battles of cutting down left and right, no mercy. We're going to get into that. That'll be, death talk is coming next. So definitely make sure you pay attention. I am the priest of ashes. I aspire to inspire others to be their highest ideal, as I continue to reach for my highest ideal. Later.